Today's edition of the Red Sox Rundown presented by Prize Picks is a mailbag, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the most fun videos that I get to do on this channel are answering questions from the audience, and that is what we're going to do today. If you want to get in on the next mailbag, make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Red Sox Rundown. That's the handle down there. The link will also be in the comments and description of today's video. You're going to see in this video, we have quite a few comments from our Instagram. I post an Instagram story every time I want to script a mailbag, and I ask for your guys' best questions. If you want to get on the next mailbag, follow us on Instagram. If we get 20 followers based off of this video alone, I will do an Instagram-only mailbag coming up in the next few weeks. So follow us on Instagram. Help us get to 10,000 followers as soon as possible. Andrew Ferris, we're going to start it off on the YouTube. Did Craig save his job this deadline? A lot of the talk coming into the deadline was that this could be make or break for Craig. He did not have a long leash. His seat was as hot as you could get. The short answer after the deadline is yes. I think that Craig definitely saved his job. Not only was he heavily active at the deadline, but he also has shown in the past that he is willing to make some decisive moves. And look, I've been a heavy critic of Craig Breslow. I'm not going to act like I haven't been. I'm not going to try to give him his try to say that I've been giving him flowers. I have not. I have been a highly critical of Craig Breslow, but we do have to give him credit for the hits that he has made. And this past offseason in particular, I mean, the Garrett Crochet trade was 2 offseasons ago, but this past offseason, he low-key cooked. The Wilson Contreras trade has been fan-freaking-tastic. He has been by far the best player on your team. The Sonny Gray trade has been very successful. Sonny Gray with Crochet out has been your ace. Caleb Durbin trade. Not only did you get Durbin, who's been fantastic, but you also got Monasterio and Siegler, and you signed Ranger Suarez, like all key contributors to this team. And more impressive than that was how he handled this year's deadline. That's been my biggest critique of Breslow this entire time, is he has not been able to handle the deadline well. But this year, he had his irons in multiple fires. He was talking to every team. He was making trying to make bold trade deals, talking about the Ellie De La Cruz report. Like, there was a lot involved there, and I think he finally exercised his demons when it comes to the trade deadline. He was focused. He had a plan. He did not tunnel vision. He looked good. So I think he has saved his job. I don't think there's anything that could happen between now and the offseason where he would be fired. I think he's got at least one more year. We will see how it works out. But yes, I do think Craig has saved his job, at least right now, after the trade deadline. Aiden Gonzalez, 21 on Instagram. How much credit does Chad Tracy deserve? I think he should be AL Coach of the Year. Aiden, fantastic question, and I completely agree with you. I think Tracy deserves a lot of credit here. He came in to an impossible situation. The vibes couldn't be lower. You have basically the entire coaching staff fired. The team is on a notoriously bad start to the season, one of the worst starts in the history of the franchise. And Tracy came in, and while it didn't start off very hot, he has been fantastic. And I want to say this, too. I think that this is very important, something we don't talk about a lot. We've looked for an Alex Bregman replacement, and while they do still need an Alex Bregman replacement as a player, the managers shouldn't have to do all of the roles that Alex Bregman did. Tracy is that in a lot of aspects. He knows this young core. He knows both the pitchers and the hitters. He knows how to work with these people. So I've been very high on Chad Tracy. I said it in my last Q&A. I think they should get rid of the interim tag. And yeah, I think that he should be a favorite for AL Manager of the Year. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. But yes, Chad Tracy deserves a ton of credit. Rossi with a question from Instagram. Do you think it's possible we see Houck or Kutter in a bullpen capacity in the playoffs? Also, it's time to part with Tristan Casas this offseason. I'm going to be quick on this. Kutter, no. Houck, yes. Kutter Crawford had another setback. I don't know when we're ever going to see him pitch again, but Houck, he is ramping up. Here's what Chad Tracy had to say on Houck. Houck's doing very well. He is in that mode right now where he's doing multiple bullpens a week, throwing 40-plus pitches, so he's creeping closer to facing hitters of some kind. I don't know when that's going to be yet, if it's going to be live BP or probably a live BP first. Not there yet, but creeping closer. You traded away a lot of pitching depth. You need help. Houck can be that help. Is he going to be that starter that we saw in 2024? Probably not. But he's done enough, and he's getting close enough to any arm helps. And so I do think that potentially, if he's ready, we see him come playoff time. I do want to say this, too. I feel really bad for Tristan Casas. Super bad for Tristan Casas. I've been a Tristan Casas stan since we started this, but if you missed the news, he just had another surgery. He just underwent a successful left arthroscopic surgery. I feel horrible for him. All he wants to do is play ball. That's all he wants to do. He loves baseball, and his body simply will not let him. It won't. So I feel horrible for him. He's not making any money, so you can afford to just keep him on the team. He's making like just over $1 million a year. So keep him on the team, see what happens in the next few years because you have him for years of control. But as of right now, I feel really bad for him. And show him some love. I know that people are sour on Casas, rightfully so. You know, he was supposed to be this big player, and he's ended up being injured so much. But, you know, you can only control what you can control, and sometimes your body just says you can't do it. Spam 36 in the comments. Show him some love. I'm showing him some love. You show him some love, too. And while you're doing that, we got to talk about the sponsor of today's show. That is Prize Picks, ladies and gentlemen, America's #1 sports picks app, the app that I use when I am watching sports and I want to put my takes to the test. And guys, they have a really awesome feature called the Social Feeds feature, which is a feature that you can copy Prize Picks lineups with a single click. You can follow myself. You can follow producer Colin. I'm at Jack CS, and you can see my lineups before I even put them on the show. And to make a lineup, it's super simple. All you do is select more or less on 2-6 players. Get your picks right. You can cash in. Here's what I'm rocking with on Friday night. Again, you guys are going to see this on Saturday mornings. You will already know how this has gone. But here is what I'm rocking with. Luis Arias, newest member of the Phillies. I'm going more on 15.5 pitches seen. I really like that for Luis Arias. I'm going more on that. And then we got some action for the Sox game. I love the more that Demon play on Andrew Monasterio, more than 6.5 hitter fantasy score. I think that's fantastic. I went more on Peyton Tolley, 5.5 Ks. Last time they played the Athletics, he had 7. And then I'm also going more on Wilyer Abreu, 5.5 hitter fantasy score. That's just one example of a lineup you can make on Prize Picks. So let me know down below. Download the Prize Picks app. And we got a new user offer for you guys. If you play your first $5 lineup after you use code HMA when you sign up, you get $150 in bonus lineups if you win. One more time, brand new deal from Prize Picks. Play $5, get $150 in bonus lineups if you win. All you got to do is use code HMA. The link to downloads in the comments and description. Thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Brother, I'm sorry. It's a very long username, so I'm just going to go with brother. Thank you so much for the question over on Instagram. Do you think the Mayer trade was both sides just needing a trade to be successful? Very interesting question. I like the question, though, because you could argue that it is. You could argue it's a win-win situation. If you forget at the deadline, the Red Sox acquired Eric Miller, left-handed reliever, and prospect Carlos Gutierrez. Marcelo Mayer headed to the San Francisco Giants. I believe that we will end up looking at this being an easy win-win type of deal for both sides. Mayer, I think, needed new scenery. He just needed a new opportunity. And I just don't think that the Red Sox were maybe the right fit. You got Franklin Arias, whatever they're going to do with Trevor Story, Andrew Monasterio, not really a fit in Boston. And, you know, a building block that the Giants might have for years to come. I agree with Breslow. Like, I still think he's going to have a pretty good major league career. It just won't be with the Red Sox. And then you get Eric Miller back, and you've got him for, 3 more years after this? And he's got the stuff to be a bona fide stud. Like, that could be, maybe, you know, I'm not going to say it, but it could be your oldest Chapman replacement. Like, crazier things have happened. So we might look back on this in 3, 4, 5 years and say, both teams kind of won. Like, I agree with that. Like, I love the trade for the Sox. And I think that Mayer, you know, if he can get his health in check, could still be a pretty damn good player in the major leagues. Let's go to Derek. Shout out Derek on the YouTube channel. Do you think Adley will get an extension, especially after the large prospect haul we gave up? Well, it's a good question. If you guys were living under a rock, the Red Sox made a blockbuster trade at the deadline. They acquired Adley Rutschman, Jake Rogers, and cash considerations for Anthony Ianson, Kyson Witherspoon, Endy Azekar, Carlos Narvaez, and a player to be named later. And the big question, because Adley only has a year of control after this year. So if you're going to give up 3 of your top 5 prospects in your system, including your 2 top pitching prospects, you'd assume that they're going to sign Adley to an extension. Well, John Heyman said this, I believe it was a day or 2 after the deadline. He said, they've got a shot to extend Rutschman. That one I can see. Baltimore tried at some point and points to do that. He didn't accept for whatever reason. The offer may not have been right. So Heyman thinks that they've got a shot. I think you can look at this in 2 ways. And they talked about this on Section 10, and I agree wholeheartedly with them. There are injury concerns, of course. We've talked about this. I know everyone's already saying before he's even seen a pitch as a member of Boston Red Sox, he's soft as Charmin. They lost this trade. I think that's horrible thinking, but it is what it is. That is my comment section. But they are valid concerns. Over the last few years, he has missed quite a few games. He has regressed after his first 2 seasons where he was like an all-star, and he was really damn good, which, by the way, he was an all-star this year. I'm just going to say that. So you could wait, see what the rest of this year holds, see what the start of next year holds, and try to lock him down to an extension mid-year. You could see that because we also have the lockout coming, so we don't know what that's going to look like either. Or if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, which I kind of think Craig is, you try to get it done as soon as possible. Because, and I know everyone's going to say, Jack, you're going to say when healthy. That's a problem. Yes, I get it. The injury issues are there. But when he's healthy, he's an all-star. Like, he's really good. Elite behind the dish. Really, really good offensively. He's a guy that you want to lock down for a long time. And you did not give up that capital to have him for a year and a half. So you can look at it either of those ways. I think at the end of the day, they probably will extend him. I'd find it very hard to believe they wouldn't. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We need him to get back healthy first, and then once he is, we can go from there. Shout out to Cole over on the Instagram. Do you think Franklin Arias will get called up this season? The age-old question is Franklin Arias recently got called up to AAA Worcester and has been fantastic. Breslow didn't completely rule it out in his post-deadline press conference. They asked about what the heck's going to happen at the shortstop position, and I believe he had mentioned Franklin Arias in that list of potential shortstops as we get to the end of the year. Now, since he's joined Worcester, now this is only his first 10 games. I'm filming this on Friday afternoon. He's been fantastic. 326 average, 981 OPS, 3 homers, 12 RBIs. Like, he has contributed to Worcester immediately, which has been really great to see. Now, I will say this. I don't think they should rush him. We just saw with Mayer that clearly he was rushed to the big leagues. Now, there were injuries and things that happened where they didn't really have a choice, but they did rush him. He clearly was not ready. Now, Arias has been fantastic, but Kristian Campbell was fantastic before he got called up, that year before, and then he struggled mightily. I want to be absolutely sure that Arias is ready. If he continues to rake into September and you think he's ready, then why not? The rosters extend anyway. If you think he can contribute, let it happen. But I'm not going to do it just to do it. I'm not going to call him up to rush him. Let him take the time. If he really is going to be this future shortstop for the Boston Red Sox that could be a potential superstar, number 2 prospect in all of baseball, take your time. Lucent Moon, someone that is always on these mailbags because they always ask such great questions. Shout out to Lucent Moon. Some players like Duran and Abreu seem to be on the up and up, especially Abreu. Yes, how about that last series against the White Sox? Do you think there's either an extension or trade in the future in either of their futures? If so, who? I'm going to be quick on Duran. I still think he gets traded. The writing's on the wall at this point. And when Roman comes back, you're going to have a plethora of outfielders. I think that Duran's time has come. He's played a little bit better as of late, started to tick up, but again, statistically, he's still been one of the worst players in all of baseball this year. So I do think this offseason they're going to try to trade him. I think AJ Preller would jump at the opportunity to get him. So I do think that Duran will get traded. In terms of Abreu, I think they need to extend Abreu ASAP. And the fact that the last time we heard about a potential extension was like 2 years ago is malpractice because Abreu has been absolutely fantastic his first 3 seasons in Boston. Like, just so good. He's already got 20 home runs this year, and we're in the beginning of August. Remember when Zips projected that no Red Sox player would hit 20 home runs this year, and we've already got 2 in August? Pretty damn cool. But Wilyer Abreu should be considered a cornerstone of this franchise. I really believe that. He's already won 2 Gold Gloves. He's one of your best power hitters on the team. He brings a whole bunch of energy. He's a great personality. His teammates love him. Lock down that outfield. You've already locked down Roman. You've already locked down Cedon. Lock down that third piece. Wilyer is that third piece. Duran's been great. It's time for him to go. Wilyer is the star. He needs to stay. I would extend him, lock him down, make him a cornerstone of this franchise. Over the last 3 years, he has proven that he's worthy of that extension. You let me know, though. You play Craig Breslow. Would you extend Wilyer Abreu? Type B for extend, type D for don't. You let me know what you would do down below in the comments. Shout out to O. Bensley on Instagram. Again, these are Instagram usernames, so forgive me. If Story comes back, what happens to Monasterio? I think the real question is what happens to Story. I don't think it's what happens to Monasterio. I think it's what happens to Story. Because Monasterio has been phenomenal this year. Now, he's played in almost double games that Story has, but that's a part of the conversation. Story's been hurt once again. Now, it's a sports hernia. It's hard to, that's just kind of the body saying you got to relax. It's not, that's a tough one. But still, Story's always hurt. Monasterio's been fantastic. 119 OPS plus for someone that's not even playing every game. And he's also been a huge part of this run that they've gone on. Like every night he's contributing. Like he's a doubles king. He's got a bunch of RBIs. Like every time he comes up to the plate, you're like, what's Mona going to do? He's been a massive, massive part of this run for the Red Sox. And you can't take him out of the lineup right now. You just can't. I would take Monasterio over Trevor Story. He's younger. While he's not maybe as sound defensively, Story hasn't really been as sound defensively as he used to be either. He's started to show some regression defensively. Might be time to have the DFA convo with Story. And Story knows the writing's on the wall. He talked about it when they were going to go after a shortstop. He's like, yeah, it's part of the business. He knows that his job's on the line. But he can't stay healthy. And Monasterio has taken that spot. So I don't think the question is what happens to Monasterio. I think the question is what happens to Trevor Story. Wolfgang with a question. What happened to Kristian Campbell? Haven't heard from him in quite a while. Is it possible he's going to be traded in the offseason like Marcelo Mayer because the Red Sox no longer believe in him realizing his potential? It's funny you mentioned that because Campbell was named the Woo Sox Player of the Month in July. He's actually been playing pretty well. I know not everyone follows the minor leaguers, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, 162 for the major league team is enough. But Campbell's been, as of late, tearing it up down in AAA. Now it's AAA. Yeah, I know. But he was batting .379, an over 1 OPS in the month of July. He's been playing pretty well. Now, in terms of the trade conversation, comparing him to Mayer in terms of a trade, they're different because Campbell's already paid. And again, everyone's going to say stupid extension. He's getting like $7 million a year. Everybody relax. It's not that much. He's already paid. Does not nearly have the injury history that Marcelo has. And he's been playing well as of late. I think what they do with him is I think they hold on to him for a bit because he can just stay in AAA. And then if an outfielder gets hurt, then he might get called up. Maybe he gets called up when the rosters expand in September. But I would hold on to him. I'm not giving up on Kristian Campbell yet. He's paid. He's not making that much money. He doesn't have as much of an injury history, and he's been playing well. Hold on to him. Don't trade him. See what happens. And, prospects have not worked out at the beginning and then flourished. That's not a thing that's never happened. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day. Drake on Instagram. Why is everyone hating on my boy Roman? This is the last question of today's mailbag. Why is everybody hating on my boy Roman? I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted talking about Roman. I'm exhausted talking about the injured players. I'm exhausted having to defend the injured players from the comment section on both my YouTube and my Instagram. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. And I think I'm probably going to have to continue to say it as long as this YouTube channel exists because people just cannot get this concept into their brain no matter how much I try to say it. Just because someone's hurt does not make them soft. Can we please stop that narrative? Clearly, the injury that Roman suffered was worse than we thought. He did not suffer any setbacks, okay? He did not suffer setbacks. They tried to push him through rehab as quickly as possible when he still was not healthy. That's not a setback. That's just him still being hurt. This is on the medical staff, on the PR team, everyone involved. Roman tore a ligament in his hand. The hand that he uses to swing a bat. It was a real injury. And it stunk. And he's a professional athlete. Those things matter. What we should really be mad at is the PR people and the medical staff that tried to downplay what it actually was. With Aaron Judge, he got hurt, and they're like, we may never see him again. With the Red Sox, someone gets hurt, and they're like, it might be the minimum. I think he'll be okay day to day. No. Tell us what the injury actually is. So that's why everyone's hating on Roman, because they think he's soft. They think he's lazy. They think since he got his money that he doesn't want to play anymore. They think that he's, making up setbacks. They think this, they think that, they think the other. When in reality, he's just a kid that got hurt, and he's had some bad luck with injuries. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. If you're still back in Roman, because I know there's a lot of people that still are. I am. I still think he's going to be the face of our franchise in the next few years. But if you're still back in Roman, just spam 19 in the comments. Show him some love. Don't hide now. Back your boy. I'm still backing him. I'm spamming my 19s. You spam your 19s down below in the comments. That's where we're going to end it, guys. A little bit of a longer video, but I love doing mailbags. I love answering your guys' questions. We took a bunch of questions today. I believe we took 10 questions in total, which we don't usually do. But I wanted to answer as many questions as possible. If you want to be on the next mailbag, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram. And until next time, go Sox.